Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of SHMUP Master. This time, we are covering Star Fox on the Super Nintendo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, we have a friend here, MarkMSX.
How's it going, my dudes?
He is probably best known for his Electric Underground podcast, and he also runs a SHMUP channel on YouTube. Why don't we start with our stories about Star Fox and how, the original Star Fox and how we discovered it, our first experiences. What about you? Why don't you start, Mark?
Sure. I think, interestingly enough, even though I owned the Super Nintendo before I got an N64, I actually did not own Star Fox at first. So I had all the other main Super Nintendo games everyone loves, but not Star Fox. And so when I got my N64, I got Star Fox 64, and that was one of my favorite games, and still is one of my favorite games ever.
So you played Star Fox 64 before the original Star Fox.
And I can't tell you how much I loved Star Fox 64. I would come to the arcade and play a bunch of games, then come home and play Star Fox 64, because I always felt like it was kind of like an arcade game. And so I was so into it, I was like, okay, so I think there's one on their Super Nintendo. I actually learned about it from Super Smash Bros. When you play Super Smash Bros. And get the trophies, it says what games the characters are from. And so it said Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, I believe. And so I was like, oh shit. So I got Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, and this is the sad part of the story. I was not too happy about it. I was like, whoa, this is jankish. This is jank compared to Star Fox 64.
Dude, Star Fox 64 is a quantum leap forward, so
Yes.
it's like, I mean, you went from, first of all, you went from a 16-bit system to a 64-bit system, and continue.
Anyway, so I did play it, and, because I love Star Fox, and I wanted to try and beat it. And so I beat the first route through it, but I kind of did it out of a sense of duty, I would say, more than genuine love for the game. Since then, though, I have played it, a fair amount. I come back to it every now and again when I'm on my Super Nintendo, especially since I think it's one of the few true 3D games on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, I love those early polygon games anyway, so I was like, okay, let's do this. And there are a lot of things I actually do like about it compared to the 64 version. But that's kind of my experience with the original. I started off with 64, then went backwards.
Okay, so you're the exact opposite of me. So I'll get into my story, which is I don't really remember who got me the game or how I got it. I think it was probably either my grandma or my uncle were usually the culprits, and probably my Uncle Doug got it for me, I would imagine. And yeah, I loved it. I fell in love with the game immediately. I was like, wow, this is mind-blowing. It's all in 3D, and I had really never seen anything like it up to that point, even though I had played some PC games, but nothing that was this smooth. I know it's, by today's standards, it's not smooth, but back then in 93,
oh my god,
it was pretty impressive, and obviously the Super FX chip had a lot to do with that. But yeah, I loved it, and I got Star Fox 64 probably 5 years later, maybe, or 6 years later when it came out, whenever it was, and I enjoyed that too. But I didn't care for the tank, and I didn't care.
How dare you?
I know, right? And I didn't care for the stages where you were flying in circles, having to attack like a base or a boss or something.
Oh, free range mode?
Yeah, and I know the sequel to Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, Star Fox 2, that wasn't released until recently on the Mini, right? I think.
Yeah, officially, yeah.
That had some of those too, right? Had some of those free range stages.
It had free range modes. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. It really comes down to taste. I wasn't a big fan of the free range stuff. I like a pure shooter, which is what the original Star Fox is. You're flying through these various environments, space, planets, obstacle courses. It's completely a taste thing. So
I wish I had the bootleg cart for the second Star Fox, because I wonder how free range mode would work on a Super Nintendo, because I assume that would be more intensive than the rail section. So I would like to try it just to see how jank it actually gets.
Yeah, I've never really played it. I've watched some Let's Plays and YouTube videos, and I think your ship can transform towards walking on the ground at one point.
Yeah,
where
the chicken.
Yeah, you can see the evolution that led to Star Fox 64, I think, in a lot of ways.
I think it's probably more of like a rough draft of 64.
Yeah.
I know it has some unique differences, but I think in the long run, just jumping straight to 64 was probably the better idea. just because it's, like you said,
Yeah.
it's such a leap forward.
Yeah, just everything about it is improved. The frame rate, obviously, the graphics. You actually have a targeting system now, and you can charge your shot.
Scoring system. There's a scoring system too.
Yeah, you can do those barrel roll maneuvers, 3 different vehicles, the submarine, the tank, and the ship.
Yep.
Really a vast improvement, definitely, over the original. But, I think one place where the original gets it, hands down, is the music. I think the music in the original game is so good. And the music in 64 is fine, but it's not as epic, It doesn't have that epic and menacing feel that the original one had,
Yeah, so that was one thing when I switched to the SNES version for the first time that I was really impressed. I was like, wow, this soundtrack is slamming. Because, like, the SNES version soundtrack is really just, like you said, it's aggressive. It's, like, it's kind of funky at times, kind of spooky and weird. And I feel like the 64 soundtrack, while I really like it, it kind of has more of a Star Wars-y orchestrated style, whereas Star Fox SNES is more like rockin'. I like that as well.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about a few more things about Star Fox, the original Star Fox, before we get started.
Yeah, I think that's important because most people don't actually play the original Star Fox.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't because the frame rate is, if you're lucky, 15 frames, and it drops well below that most of the time, or a lot of the time when stuff starts going on screen. But there is some cool things about it, and obviously one of them is there's 3 different routes you can take, and
yep.
The route I used for this was the route 1, which is the easiest.
Level 1.
Level 1, yeah. I don't know why the hell they call it level, because that's just confusing. But
I think they did that because back in the day, the concept of a route made no sense to anyone. What the hell is a route, right?
Yeah.
And so I think they're trying to relate it to like a Mario and stuff. It's like, oh, a level. I know what a level is. And also like levels of difficulty, level 1 difficulty, level 2 difficulty, level 3. I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, probably. Obviously, I'm the most familiar with Route 1. It's probably the one I played the most as a kid. I did play Routes 2 and 3, but Route 3, I watched a run of it recently. I haven't played Route 3 in a while, and it's, oh my god, it is...
It's pretty wild.
It's the wildest. It's got that stage with all the snakes coming out of the water and the flowers, and there's a lot of really cool levels on Route 3, and it's so difficult. There's the fight above Venom where there's like a Star Destroyer coming at you, and the game keeps spinning you around. It like zooms past you, and then it spins you around, and you have to fight it again, over and over again. I mean, doing a no damage run of Route 3, I want to say it's impossible. It's probably not impossible. Nothing's impossible, but it would take years of practice probably to be able to pull it off. It's just it's insane.
I always kind of feel like, personally, the levels, not only does the number tell you how hard it is, it also tells you how jank it is, right? Like, I feel like level 1 route, it's like the most polished technically, and then 2 and 3, those are the levels where you can get tons of slowdown, like tons of slowdown and like weird shit flying around.
I think you're right. I mean, Route 1 is the one that I always remembered,
Yeah.
There's some really iconic stages, probably some of the most iconic in the series, and yeah, that makes sense to me. We've kind of talked about the jankiness of this game. It can get very janky. The frame rate can get really low. There's a lot of RNG elements in this game, which I noticed more and more the more I practiced. And
I'm sure.
For instance, a lot of the bosses don't fire bullets the same rate, like ever. It seems to be random each time for a lot of them. What else? The asteroid stage, the asteroids are all random. They're never the same. On occasion, I would have an asteroid just appear out of nowhere and just hit me, and that would end my run right there. Just weird stuff like that. There's a lot of RNG elements in the game, especially with boss behaviors, and we can talk about that more once we're watching the run. Another thing I wanted to touch on was the importance of doing barrel rolls. I use that to my advantage in this run, and that is because you can reflect bullets if you time it right. So I'm doing that quite a bit in this run, and I save my ass many times by doing barrel rolls, reflecting bullets that should have hit me. So
I think we should also clarify that the barrel roll between 64 and SNES is very different. In 64, those barrel rolls are a lot more powerful, where you can just barrel roll the crap out of most enemy formations and stuff. In the SNES version, the barrel rolls are a lot less, they have a lot less invulnerability, they're slower, and so you have to be a lot more tactical. And they're harder to do.
Yeah,
They don't.
Maybe
yeah.
because of the frame rate. If the frame rate drops, you'll see points in this run where you'll see my ship kind of moving like it's trying to do one, and that's because I'm hitting the inputs and it's not responding. Because the frame rate has got so low.
It's a lot less guaranteed to reflect than on the 64 version.
There's also a very specific sound you'll hear when you reflect the bullet, and that's a dink. So sometimes, because the frame rate drops so low, you won't actually see the bullet reflect, but you'll hear the sound. The sound is always there, but sometimes you don't see the reflection.
Right.
You will hear it though.
It just drops the sprite. It's like, forget it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It drops the sprite of the frame. I also didn't. I intentionally avoided the shield on this run because this was distracting, I thought, and I like to see my ship. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but when you reflect bullets with the barrel roll, it actually counts as a hit towards your shield. So I would have lost the shield pretty quickly anyway.
I did not know that, no.
Yes, I found this out by doing it. So I figured, why get the shield? It's kind of pointless.
Right, so let's say, just for the sake of the listeners, that you use the shield. This is a no-hit run, right? Or no damage?
No damage.
So let's say you had a shield and you got hit. Would you have counted that as damage or not?
That's a good question. That's another reason why I avoided the shield altogether,
right.
Because I figured having the shield would be cheating. So I was like, I'm not going to deal with it.
I feel like in the spirit of the run, it would count. So yeah, forget the shield.
Yeah, I use shields in other shmups where I'm trying to no-death it or whatever, but no-deathing this game is pretty easy, so obviously I wanted a bigger challenge, and with the hits, with not taking any hits, I figured having a shield would just confuse it more. So let's see. I want to talk a little bit about the run itself now and the details of it, and that's going to start with, obviously, it's a no-damage run, which means I don't take any damage the whole game. I'm also going for 100% score, which involves the amount of enemies you shoot, and very specific enemies is what I noticed.
Right. But it's easy to get. I know that. Like, score is a lot easier in this game than in 64.
Yeah.
Like, meddling in 64 is a significant challenge. In this game, it's like, if you play somewhat decently, you'll get 100%.
Yeah, basically. It's not too difficult. There's a couple parts that are tricky. Stage 6, when you're on the surface, it's a little tricky to get 100%. But other than that, it's not too bad. Honestly, you're right. Compared to 64, it's not that big a deal. So anyway, I was going for 100% score. Also, no damage to the wingmen, obviously, because you don't want them to get hit either.
Really? I didn't know you were doing that. Is that hard? Because in 64, that would be really hard because your wingmen get rocked a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier on Route 1, I think, obviously, than it would be on Route 2 or especially 3. But yeah, it's one more thing you gotta think about, and I had to memorize each spot because this is one thing that's always the same is they get attacked in the same spots every time. So you have to memorize when they're getting attacked. And you'll see me just come up and take the guys out right when they come on the screen a lot of times because I know when they're coming. 5 months of practice. I practiced from July 13th till November, and November 13th, I got exactly 5 months, almost to the day. I think I got the run. So pretty crazy, man. I've never practiced a game that long. I know you have with some of yours, but that's the longest I've ever had to practice a game for me to accomplish my goal.
Well, still, in the world of video gaming, 5 months of practice for a 30-minute run, that is a grind for sure. So, like, super impressive performance.
Yeah, I did use emulation to practice certain points. 90% of that emulation was at Andros, the final boss, because he's just really, really tough to beat without getting hit because it's all random. Everything, all that junk he spits out of his mouth, it's different every time. It's tough, man. It's really, really hard to beat him without getting hit. What else? I recorded it on original hardware, which I had to do, which is my Super Nintendo Model 2, which has an RGB out, which I run through a FrameMeister and then through an Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card. It doesn't capture in 4K because the FrameMeister only outputs at 1080p, but it's still, like, the quality looks really good for original hardware.
The quality looks absurdly good.
Yeah, and this hardware. Is not it's not an emulator. It's straight from the Super Nintendo, so legit, real hardware.
So I do have to comment on your setup a little bit. So it's interesting because you're using a FrameMeister, which adds a frame of lag to your display lag, but at the same time, you're playing at like 15 frames a second or whatever, so I don't think that really had too much of an impact on your overall latency.
You get used to it. You get used to it, I guess. I never noticed it to begin with, but you'll love this even more, Mark. I used a Bluetooth 8-bit do wireless controller, Super Nintendo controller, because I got tired of the cord and I wanted to sit back. And it worked great. I thought it worked great. You know, I didn't have any input issues with it. It's identical to a Super Nintendo controller. It's just wireless. So I'm sure Mark would notice the lag, but
yeah, it does add a little bit of latency.
Didn't bother me. The last thing I'll mention about the capture setup is you'll notice periodic little glitches throughout the game. That is because my capture card just hated this game for some reason. Maybe it was the frame rate or something.
The frame rate. It probably is pissing it off. It's like, what are you doing?
I've never had this issue with any of my other runs, but I'm pretty sure it's just the game was causing the issue. It's not a big deal. It's just every once in a while you'll see a little glitch on the screen or something, but not a big deal. And for anyone questioning the validity of this, or if I'm cheating or whatever, what I did was, and this was an idea of someone in the farm, as you call it, the SHMUP forums, which is to record some of my older runs. So I have 9 other runs that are all going to be on my channel. I'll put them in a playlist, and I'll link it at the end of the video, so if anyone wants to watch me progress. I think I've got runs from July all the way up till a couple days before I got this one, so you'll have plenty to see as proof that I did practice and do this for 5 freaking months. So
I think the one thing that makes it pretty hard to argue that you cheated is emulating this game is not exactly a clean affair, even on the best emulators. And
True.
So, I mean, if someone really wanted to compare your run to an emulated like TAS run, I think you would see some pretty significant differences, just because, as far as I'm aware, SNES emulators still kind of struggle with Star Fox. I mean, they run it and everything, but I mean, it's not like a completely clean one-to-one super glitch-free affair.
It isn't. It's a little. I think it's a little slower sometimes, and it's the timing's slightly different, which is why I tried to limit my emulation practice just to some of the really trouble spots like Andros, because I didn't want to get used to it, you know, and because it was slightly different, and you know, it'll throw you off. All right, well, why don't we get to it then? This is as far as I know, the first person who's ever captured this on video.
I've looked as well. I couldn't find anything. I looked everywhere.
And from everyone I've talked to on social media and the SHMUP forums, they all say it's the first time it's been done. So no damage, Route 1, Star Fox run. Here we go, Star Fox.
Do you let the intro rock a little bit?
Yeah, I let this rock a little bit.
Yeah, let it rock.
I always do. It's so good. And then right at that part, I hit start right when it ends. I did that as a kid too. I select Control C because I like to go up when I push up and down when I push down.
You heathen.
Ah, so you do it inverted.
Oh, I do inverted, baby, all day.
Oh man.
It's funny because when I play FPSs and stuff, I don't do inverted. It's only when I play flight simulation games that I do inverted.
Okay.
Or GoldenEye. Like any 64 game, I invert because that's how most N64 games are. So, yeah, I do. I
can't do inverted, man. I don't think I've ever played a game where I did inverted. I'm always, unless I'm actually using a joystick, like a real joystick.
Yes, like a mech. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I was playing Wing Commander or something like that, with a joystick, sure. But this, nah, I like up, and down.
It really doesn't matter, but...
Yeah. So how about this opening cinematic, man? Like, this was so cool back in the day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't get the cool voiceover, but, the SNES can't handle that, so...
No, it can't. I mean, yeah, the voiceover in 64 is cool, though I think Falco's voice should have been deeper, but other than that, I think it's pretty good.
Falco's like my favorite voice of all of them.
Is it really? His voice is so deep
and sexy.
His voice is so deep in this one, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, yeah, you got to fly through those 3 rings to get the twin blaster. It's funny because I'm shooting like shit at the beginning here. Like you can see I'm missing these guys. It's because I hadn't played the game in about 3 days. And then I had taken a break, and I decided just to go for it, and so I was a little rusty here at the beginning, but
stage 1 is the warm-up stage anyway, just go crazy.
Yep, but I'm still hitting most of my targets here, I always tried to hit that guy, and then flip him and hit him again, and kill them both.
So this background here looks exactly like my backyard. I live in Idaho with mountains, so if I go outside, I feel like I'm looking at like a picture of my house right here. Like, that's exactly how my backyard looks, with just mountains back there.
Corneria, Idaho. Do you go for the second bomb up here on the right? Do you ever go for that?
Let me see.
No,
I don't think so.
You don't go to it's the hidden bomb on the right up here, right past this part. Okay.
So my knowledge of the stages is really rudimentary. As far as, like, I don't know any of the hidden stuff or anything like that.
Yeah,
I just
see right here,
blast my way through it.
Yeah, I had to learn how to do that because it's real easy to just slam into those buildings. And here, you can see here, this part's tough because the frame rate just drops so low, and
yeah, it definitely tanks.
And things just don't respond like you want them to, you know. But see, I made it.
We should also explain that when you roll to the right or roll to the left, that increases the acceleration of turning left and right. Like that's an important.
That's true, and it's something I never use really though. I always go to the right, and I don't know why. I think it's because I'm right-handed, and when I was a kid, I used to just spin constantly, and I started adapting my aim with the spins. So now if I'm not, you'll notice I spin for like everything, and it's like if I'm not spinning, it doesn't feel right, you know. So it's just the gameplay style. It's weird, but yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? I didn't realize that what you just said. I didn't realize that till tonight, till I watched a guy play Route 3 of this game.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't even know. I was just spinning to the right, spinning to the right, spinning to the right. You know. So.
Yeah, that's a big thing in 64 is knowing how to spin and how to I can't remember the flight term for it, but to put yourself all the way sideways, right or left.
Yeah, and then it's easier.
There's a special flight term for it.
Yeah, so we got the attack carrier here. This thing's a pushover.
This thing is the exact same one as in 64. If you take the second route on Corneria, you fight this exact boss.
You fight the exact same one, just rendered in.
Exact same one.
64,
just
So I take some nice
like
little close calls there.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
That's cool. Yeah, you know, a lot of times I'll reflect those bullets, but I just didn't do it this time. I think, like I said, because I think I was a little rusty. But
yeah. So how many early stage resets? Like when you're playing, did you ever have a lot of issues with stage 1, or is it like stage 1? Is it always kind of a cakewalk for you?
When I say probably in July, I ended up resetting a lot, but like in the last month or two, I rarely got hit on stage 1. So stage 2 was the headache for a long time, just because
the freaking asteroids.
Yeah, we're going there now, and there's just so much shit on the screen. You know, I'd say this stage and the one after it, Space Armada, are the worst for trying to do a no damage run, because there's just so much crap going on. You'll see here with the cockpit.
Like there's a lot of RNG in these stages.
Yeah. So I hate the cockpit, but I always start off with it and I kill one guy and then I switch because I don't know, I just don't like the cockpit. And I wanted to do this whole run just in third person.
I know, aren't there certain stages that force you to cockpit?
No.
Or
no.
Not on Route 1?
No. Not on Route 1. I don't think there is. I think you have a choice throughout the whole game if you want.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Because I know it forces you into it at points.
I could be wrong,
you can,
but
back out, right?
Yeah, it forces you in at the beginning of the stage like that, and then you just back out of it. Yeah. And yeah, you see it starts getting hairy here in a few minutes, but this part, yeah, see those guys right there? Now, I use bombs on those guys because if you don't, they tend to just explode, and their little pieces go everywhere. And if you miss if you miss any of those pieces, you lose percentage on your score. So this is actually one of the more difficult stages to get 100% on. So unless you bomb them all. So I got tired of trying to do it, and I just said, screw it, I'm just gonna bomb them from now on because I want to get the 100%. You know, so.
Do the asteroids affect your score at all?
No, the asteroids don't. No, like I said, this game, even the scoring system in this game is janky because I don't really understand how it works. I just figured out the things I had to hit in order to get 100, and those guys you have to kill all of them.
Okay.
And I think I missed one. I missed one right there, but it didn't matter. It's really strange, man. But if you miss more than a couple, it always hits your score. So it's strange.
Yeah. It gives you a little bit of leniency.
Yeah, a little bit of leniency.
You're not literally killing 100% of the enemies.
Well, the way I like to see it is that your teammates take them out for you.
Oh, they take them out.
when they get
hanging
past
in.
you. Yeah, and you can see those guys are annoying too. Those guys that just kind of float around. I don't know. I got pretty good at killing them at the bottom or the top of the screen. But if you leave them there too long, they'll start shooting at you.
So this is your blue laser equivalent, right? This is like the highest powered.
Yes, this is the highest powered weapon. Yep. Oh, and I forgot to mention, to get it back there, you got to fly through those 3 asteroids, the 3 orange asteroids, and it appears the power up.
Nice. Let's say you missed that. Will it appear in later stages?
Yeah, I did miss it on some of the runs because of the RNG on the stage. Sometimes it would appear inside an asteroid, like a gray asteroid, so I wouldn't be able to get it. And
right.
so you can get one on the beginning of the next stage. There's another power up that's right there. And we got the rock crusher they call it, I guess. So it's just got these little things you got to shoot on either side. It's a pretty easy boss. There's not much to him. You kill those.
So in 64, it's a similar design, but they ramp it up a bit. They add some more phases to it.
Yeah. Do you see how close that shot was? I mean, it was right about to hit me, and I killed him.
Did you barrel roll through it, or did you dodge it?
Neither. It didn't. Like, I killed him the second it was about to hit me. I killed him, and like I said, there's so many close calls in this run like that where I got super lucky on this run, in a lot of ways. I did have a couple runs before this, the week prior, where I had one-hit runs. Like, I had 2 of them. So
that sucks.
Yeah, and one of them I got all the way to Andros, and I got hit, and that's why I took 3 days off, because I was like, oh my god, I can't keep doing it. I was just so demoralized, but came back strong, man, and freaking
definitely
do it,
So how many hours would you grind per session, would you say? Like, how, you know what I mean? Like, how many attempts, how many hours per session?
Like, if I was feeling good, maybe about 2 hours, but usually an hour, like 1 or 2 runs at most, usually, because one of the problems with this game is all these cutscenes, you have to sit through them all, so it just gets really taxing. It's like, you just get tired of it, It's like, I don't get tired of the gameplay. I love the gameplay, but sitting through the goddamn cutscenes over and over again, I was like, okay, I'm done. That right there, that thing I just shot. The thing I just shot, that would have been your power up for your gun.
Okay.
If I didn't already have it. So coming up here is one of the hardest places in the game not to get hit. Right here next to the Star Destroyer. Basically,
you gotta fly into that son of a bitch.
You gotta fly into it, and I just barrel roll, and I figured out, just got good at dodging the bullets. I managed to avoid them all there. But I got hit there. I probably had 50 runs get ruined by that spot. It was just such a bitch.
I could imagine, because you're saying it's randomized, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it's random every time. Yeah. So, and same with this part. This part's not quite as bad, but it's still a pain in the ass. And you can actually blow those things up. I don't think I killed either one of them because it doesn't matter for your score, but you can actually blow those up if you get close enough. Oh, and I love this, man. As a kid, this was so cool, man. Flying inside these ships. I was like, oh, this is awesome. We're going inside.
I know. When I first played it, I was kind of a little bit shocked. Like, really? Can the Super Nintendo handle this?
Yeah, the Super Nintendos can do this. We can fly inside these big ships, and here's the shield, which I avoid. I don't get it, and we talked about that earlier on. I just it's distracting to me. I want to have my ship.
So it's funny. There's sections like this in Star Fox Zero, like where you fly inside the ships. And
Star Fox Zero is the Wii U one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There aren't sections like that in 64, but there are in Star Fox Zero.
That's interesting.
And so a lot of the reviewers commenting on Star Fox Zero, they're like, oh, well, some of the people are like, oh, this is just ripping off Star Wars, and like, this is just, it's like, and I wanted to like reach through the computer and be like, you idiot, that's in the original Star Fox.
Star Fox, yeah.
You just never played it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
This part's a bitch, too. You have 3 missiles that shoot there, and you just have to avoid them. And I figured that if you stay to the right as long as possible, they start going to the right, and then you just curve to the left, and you hit your jet out of the way. Because I got hit there many, many, many times too.
That's a little shmup tactic right there. You know, shepherding them.
Yep, exactly. And now we're into our second ship here.
These layouts are static, right?
Yes, these are static. Change. They're always the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't change.
Yep, and these, I mean, most of them in Route 1 aren't that bad, except for at the very end, like right before you're about to go to Andros is a little tricky, but for the most part, Route 3 is the one that has the really crazy acrobatic areas that you gotta deal with all this weaving in and out of stuff, but this one's not so bad.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed watching your run here is that, unlike in Star Fox 64, you don't seem to need to do a lot of braking and accelerating. Like in 64, that is like a big thing. Like every second, you're either braking or accelerating.
Yeah,
but in this one, it looks like.
I think in Route 1 for this game, you don't need to. Like, I don't hit my brakes a single time this whole run. I do accelerate, but usually it's to avoid a bullet or just for fun. But I think in Route 3 and especially Route 2 and 3, you definitely have to brake more. There's spots where you have to. So
okay.
This route you don't really have to brake at all. There's spots you'll benefit from it, but oh man, okay. So this is the worst part in the whole game because there's nothing you can do except hope you don't get hit. Like, so right here when you're flying down to this big ship, it's firing 1,000,000 bullets. They're different every time, and you can't really tell where they are. I mean, can you tell if they're about to hit me or not? It's like, look, and I don't look at that. I didn't get hit. It's like,
no.
So what I did every time was I found that my best the best way to do it was just to go straight down and hold down. And what I would do is I would close my eyes and just hold my breath and hope I didn't get hit. And sometimes awesome. I did, sometimes I didn't, you know. But there's no guarantee there, really. It's really frustrating.
That's just some straight up RNG.
It is, yeah. That's all it is.
There's a spot like that in Donanpachi in stage 1 mid-boss where either you get a bad pattern and it's like really impossible to dodge, or you get a good one and you're okay. So
yeah, it took me forever just to figure out just to go down like that. You know, I figured my odds were the best. It seemed like when I just went straight down. You know, so I flew into this big ship and we're heading to this boss, which is kind of like the Gravitron or something, like that ride. I don't know how else to explain it.
Nice.
Sort of like a Gravitron ride. And I did really good on this guy. I didn't always kill him this quickly, but I did pretty well this time.
I wonder if I remember this.
You gotta take these 3 out, and I take all 3 of them out right first shot on each one.
Yeah, there's a boss like this in 64 as well.
Yeah,
or a stage like this anyway.
They reused this boss on Route 3 also for Star Fox, and I think it's a little more difficult, but same boss. Yeah, so
and you have to dodge those electric.
That's a lot like Return of the Jedi, man. Now that I'm thinking about it, the scene at the end of Return of the Jedi where they fly into a room a lot like that and blow a thing up and then fly out. So maybe this is ripping off Star Wars, man.
Oh, definitely. Star Fox is heavily influenced by Star Wars, but like in a good way. Star Wars is a film. Star Fox is a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So with adorable animals that blow stuff up.
Yeah, right. With annoying ass Slippy that's always getting in your way. God, that dude is always in my way. You'll see on
You notice
on
though
Venom,
in this
man.
one, Slippy's voice acting's like pretty like, you know, gravelly and
yeah,
whereas the English 64 Slippy sounds like a whiny little girl. So
he was telling you to use your retros on the stage. I don't ever use them though.
Okay, here we go. The best song in Star Fox.
This is a great song. Really atmospheric and creepy. Yeah, I love it. I like this stage. This is it's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites.
This stage is really hard though.
Yeah, it is, man. You'll see it's just, man, I don't know. I got lucky a lot on this.
Doesn't the ground look like a landing strip at like a airport or something?
It does, yeah, like, the dots. I think the dots.
You know what I mean?
The dots are there to give you perspective, right? To kind of make it easier for you to tell. To tell where you're moving.
Especially with this part where the mountains just appear out of nowhere.
I know the pop in, man. the line of sight is just it's
absurd, dude.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's first gen 3D, but it's pretty close to first gen 3D.
Yeah,
pretty close.
The funny thing about it is, you know, people laugh about the 64's, you know, fog.
Oh, the fog is better than the pop in here. Yeah.
Yeah, Star Fox, you're hoping for fog because they just appear.
Yeah. And see, got the bomb there. I did use 2 of my bombs. There's a spot where I need all 5 of my bombs later on in the game, and you'll see. So I try to keep them stocked. Those guys, those spinny things right there that shoot those balls, sometimes you need to kill them to get your score, and sometimes you don't, depending on the stage. It's really strange.
Is it just because you have more enemies to kill at times?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that has to, like on, this part's cool, watch this. Deflect the 2 of those motherfuckers, man.
Very swag.
Yeah, very swag there. That part gave me a lot of trouble too. I got hit there a lot trying to deflect those bullets.
This stage is rough, especially with all the pop-in.
The pop-in and the slowdown, just especially when they start putting these mountains everywhere, it just slows to a crawl, you know. Yeah, we're getting coming up on the boss pretty soon, actually. This boss was also quite a chore. Yeah, I go for the second.
I
I go
can
for the
imagine.
bomb. Go for the bomb over here, so I'm back up to 5.
Would it be the shield on the other side, I'm guessing?
No, the other side is... I think the other side, I don't think there's anything there.
Oh, nada, huh?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Alright, we're on the boss. Boss is Dancing Insector, I guess they call him.
This
Spider
one's
guy.
tough.
Now watch,
This
man.
one's tough.
This is where I kind of went bullet reflecting crazy here. I was just feeling it, you know, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna deflect that bullet. We're gonna deflect that bullet. Now we're gonna deflect that bullet.
It sounds a lot like the sound effect in Link to the Past, where when you jab your sword into something.
Yeah, dink. It's a dink. It's a dink.
Yeah, it's that same sound effect. Almost.
And you saw there a couple times where the frame dropped. Like you heard the sound, but you didn't really see the bullet deflect. You know?
Yeah.
It's like yeah. So this guy sucks. He's also loaded with RNG because sometimes he doesn't shoot any bullets at all. And this time he's firing them like crazy, but he also sometimes he goes up, sometimes he goes down. So you have to.
Yeah, his movement is really erratic.
Yeah. So here, like at the last second, I went down. I'm like, I guess he's going up again. So it was really hard. You just have to learn his. Like I said, you can't really learn his pattern because he changes it up every time. You just have to pay attention and watch to see if he goes up or down, you know, and then avoid it accordingly. But yeah, very annoying boss and. One of the harder
Being
ones.
fully powered up, I'm sure, really helps.
It does a lot, yeah. You just kill him so much quicker. Yay! Stage 4 clear. Meteor. Yeah, great tune on
yeah,
that.
that's definitely my favorite of the soundtrack. My second favorite is Corneria.
Yeah, Corneria is good. I really like. I
slamming.
love the Space Armada track too. It's just a very epic sounding track.
Yeah.
All right, Venom.
Uh-oh, Venom time.
Venom Venom is split into 2 stages. You got the above the atmosphere Venom, and then
Yep.
on the ground Venom. So this is actually what I consider the easiest stage in the game. I think, for me anyway, because there's no obstacles except enemies, and you're just in space shooting.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a lot of trouble with this stage, really, except for the boss, who sucks. But otherwise, man, it's just you just gotta pay attention and shoot the guys. Really, there's really not that much else to it. You know, these little guys here, they're random the way they come up. Like, I mean, I guess the spot they come up is random. They don't come up in the same pattern every time. But some of the other guys, like this guy, comes up in the same place every time. It's weird, man. It's weird how they change up certain things. And oh yeah, then you got these guys that just appear, and you gotta. They're also random. Like,
you know
where
what's
they appear.
surprising to me? In the era of remakes, where they remake everything, why didn't they ever remake Star Fox? Like the game that actually needs a remake.
Yeah, it would benefit so much from
what I'm saying?
from an HD remaster, man. It would be incredible, man.
Because they actually did remake Star Fox 64 on the 3DS.
They did.
It's really good.
Yeah, they did.
The only issue with it is that it's stuck on the 3DS.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
only issue.
Yeah, so it'd be hard to play on the TV. I'm sure there's a way, but it would be difficult, you know. I guess through
Yeah,
emulation.
you have to use the emulator.
Yeah, that's right.
But I did it on handheld, dude. 100% it on handheld. So
wow, that's awesome.
I wish they did that with the original a lot, like, because it is a really good game.
Yeah.
It just has the frame rate from hell.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. You're right. It would really benefit a lot from
Like the stage layouts.
60 frame. Can you
It's actually
imagine
really
60
well
frames
done.
a second remake would just be incredible, man. They could do it.
Yeah.
Maybe they will. I don't know. You never know.
No,
How about
Nintendo
give us a
does not
Switch?
like Star Fox.
Yeah, they don't like Star Fox. They don't like Metroid. You know, there's a couple franchises they don't like. My two
badass for
favorite.
Nintendo.
Yeah, my 2 favorite ones.
Mine too.
All right, so this guy sucks. The Fantron. Okay, so he's totally. Most of him is RNG. Like this, you don't know where he's gonna go. This part always happens where he spins when you get him down to low on life. And now this part, he's just firing missiles at you randomly, and you can see that I just barely hit that one. He's firing other shit at you, and you have to, and you can only hit one of. He splits into 3, and you can only hit one of them. The other 2 are invulnerable. So and
it's
different every time. So
is there a tell of which one's which?
No, it's not. I couldn't. I couldn't really. I couldn't tell. However, 9 times out of 10, it's the bottom right it would go to. But every once in a while, it switches to a different one. So I would always go for the bottom right first, and if it wasn't, then I would just try the other ones. You know. But that guy is actually way worse than he looked there. He's just horrible.
Yep, that's the typical shmup syndrome. When you're good and you destroy them, it looks easy.
Yep.
So.
And now we have
this isn't hard.
We have the acrobatic stage now, which is
I really like the background. It looks like kind of apocalyptic, like something something out of the Book of Revelations going on back there.
You got the apocalypse going on, man. It's so menacing. Now I launch a bomb there to kill both of those things because that's how you get the 100%. You have to kill most of those because there really aren't that many enemies on this stage. I found that if I skipped all those, I wouldn't get the 100%. So
really,
yeah. So I used 2 bombs to kill them. Otherwise, it wasn't guaranteed I would get it. You know. So.
So you switch the blocks by hitting the.
Yeah, you shoot them.
The arrow.
Yeah. And if you're playing Route 3, there's ones that switch randomly, which is crazy.
Geez.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it's like that in expert mode on Venom, as well.
Yeah. See, I use another bomb there, blow those guys up. I think there's one. Yeah, there's 2 more. There are 3 more of those guys, I think, and then that's the last of them. Yeah, right here. See, I missed the one on the left, and I reflected that bullet, and then that one, and then that's it. Ugh, just barely missed that.
Oh, jeez.
This is the
was that
the part,
reaction
man.
or was that luck?
That was. I think it was luck.
There?
I think it was luck. I think I'd just done it so many times, you know, and I just. This is the part where my hands were sweating. You know, they were just sweating.
Yeah.
And I was getting.
So, yes. You should talk about, like, your nerves. Did you have a lot of nerves?
Yeah, when I got to
this?
Only when I got to this stage, because I had played through the game so many times. But when I got here and I realized I was getting this close, the nerves kicked in, you know, and.
Yeah. Did you get this before or after our little chat where I talked about visualizing the clear and all that?
This was after that.
Did that help at all? Did you try that?
Sorta. I didn't really meditate or anything, but I did try to visualize, you know, just visualize it. So, all right. Fantron Redux
2.0.
Yeah, 2.0. And he's actually not as bad because he doesn't shoot missiles this time. He just shoots the bullets.
Lasers.
Yep, the lasers. And again, it was the bottom right, as you saw. Well, I think it switches.
It's like a time-old tradition in shmups where, like, the second to last boss shows up twice.
That's true.
Like
yeah, you're right.
That's really common.
And then he transforms. Now, if you're good, you can launch a bomb in his face and it takes off half his life in one shot. But I missed my mark. So, but I use all my bombs here because this guy is just chaos. Like he's just firing. Look at this. He's firing so much shit at you. You know, and it's a fucking miracle I didn't get hit here. It's like that's why I launch all the bombs. Like that missile just barely missed me. I'm reflecting bullets, you know. It's like it's ridiculous.
It's like the old saying, sometimes the best defense is a strong offense.
Usually I can kill him before he gets to phase 2, but I didn't do it this time because I missed my first shot. So actually you will get to see phase 2 a little bit here, but I get him pretty quick after he duplicates into 3 and just launching bullets at you. I think I blocked quite a few bullets here, man. Got that last stupid missile too. I had one time, man, where I got here and he got to that phase right there and he fired a missile as he was, or a fucking shot as he was blowing up, and it hit me. Just more RNG shit, man. Just more weird stuff. It's just crazy. So here we go, man. Andros.
Yeah. I call that the pseudo-suicide bullet, where it's not a true suicide bullet, but it kind of is.
It comes after the fact. Yeah, it's annoying. So what you do here is a tip. Don't move. Just sit in the center.
Hold still.
Hold still.
Is it a safe spot?
Yeah, safe spot right there for this. Now, when you get here, you got to move, but that whole first part is a safe spot. You just don't move. But yeah, you got to avoid these sliding doors. It's not too bad. I did get hit here a couple times.
Did you figure out all the routes on your own, or were you using kind of someone else's routes as a guide?
No, I used completely my own. I learned one thing from a speedrunner, and you see what I'm doing right there? I turned sideways. I learned that from a speedrunner for this right here.
Oh, to get him right in the eye.
To get him in the eye, and so I don't get hit right there, because your wings aren't spread out, you know? So I did pick up from a speedrunner, which was pretty cool. It helped me a lot on this part because this guy just sucks, man. This was my best run on him ever. Like I just got lucky. Like all his junk that he's shooting out is kind of staying away from me, and I'm just like right here. I knew it. I knew I had it. I'm like, oh, dude, here it is.
Some slowdown like a true SHMUP.
Yeah, and there it is, man. It's like I got a good run with him that time.
This is the final phase, right, or no?
No, that's it.
Does he have what?
He has a second. He turns into a devil head on the third route. But on this route, that's it. On the third route, man, when he turns into a devil head after you beat him, and he not only shoots the junk at you, but he shoots bullets at you too. It's like, it's insane. Like doing a no damage run on Route 3, it's possible, but it would be incredibly laborious and probably take a year of practice to do at least.
Yeah, that's a lot of cutscenes too.
Yeah, exactly, man. Sitting through the cutscenes is brutal after you've seen them 500 times. And there it is, man.
Well, GG's, like, great run, dude.
Thanks, man.
You gotta get the victory music.
Yep, good old victory music, and just to show the 100% completion on everything, which I did. I wasn't even gonna care. I wasn't even gonna worry about that at first, but then I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this run, I gotta do everything. You know, save the wingman, 100% score, no damage, everything.
Yeah, just get it all taken care of.
Gotta do it all. 100%. Part of me still thinks that I'm gonna see a 99 somewhere, but no, it's all 100.
Were you worried that one of the stages wouldn't be 100?
Yeah, stage 6, because you don't know until here. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know.
That would suck.
Yeah.
98%.
Yeah, there it is. 100%. Yeah, you don't know till you get here. Total score. I guess that's the max score you can get in this game, because I don't think there's
because it's just 100%. So across the board.
It's a weird, like I said, it's a weird scoring system, and I still don't completely
It's like
understand
capped. They're capping it, where you know what I mean.
That kind of sucks because it eliminates high scoring. You know, it'd be kind of cool if they just picked a regular scoring system. You know, where that would encourage people to kill every enemy in the game and and try and get the highest score possible. It'd be a lot harder anyway. More competition.
It's like a counter stop. So in certain shmups, the score will cap out at a certain number, usually 99999.
Right.
And then you can't keep playing. So certain shmups, getting the counter stop is when you max out the score. Even though you could score more, the game won't count it. That's kind of what happened to you here in Star Fox. There's a bit of a counter stop.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that is a good way to put it. You know what I like about this? They tell you how big they are. Like, they give you the size. 60 feet by 86 by 45. Or maybe it's meters. Maybe that's meters. I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
I'm guessing meters, because these were British developers.
They were British, yeah. Was it Argonaut?
Brits and their meters.
Yeah. Like Argonaut Software or whatever that did it.
Yeah.
I actually talked to... I can't remember his name, but the lead developer, I talked to him on Twitter a few times.
Really?
Yeah, and
recently or in the past?
This was when I was working on this run, or right before I think it was right before I decided to go for this crazy no damage run. I had talked to him, and then he put me in touch with his. I don't want to say the guy was his publicist or his assistant or something, but put me in touch with a guy who said, oh, because I asked him, like, would you like to do commentary on one of my Star Fox runs? He's like, oh yeah, I might want to do that, but I never heard back anything. I sent him an email.
Yeah, you got the Mark treatment right there.
Yeah, I did, man.
That's the Mark treatment.
He was nice enough to talk to me at least, and and interact. So whatever, that's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's always a bummer when you kind of get the hope of someone showing up and then. No.
I mean, originally I was going to do all 3 routes of this, right? And I was going to have you on one, I was going to have another guy on the other, and then I wanted to get that that guy I was just talking about on one of them too. But after this, I'm done. It's like I'm not going to... I mean, maybe I'll come back to it and try Route 2 eventually, but it's not going to be anytime soon. It's like I sat down and turned on Route 2 and started playing it yesterday, and after 5 minutes I turned it off. I was like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I need a break from Star Fox anyway.
You can only Star Fox so many hours.
Well, I figured if it was going to be any time, now would be the best time because I'm already so well practiced. But the problem is you got to memorize a whole nother route. Even if you're really good, you still got to rememorize everything. So it would still take a while, I think.
Yeah, and I get the feeling the deeper you get into the game with routes 2 and 3, the no damage stuff is going to get even more wild because
absolutely.
I really do think those stages are kind of jank.
Yeah. Dylan Cuthbert, I believe that's him.
That's the dude.
Yeah, I believe so.
The man behind Star Fox.
Gotta love how those words just come up. It's like what movie did that? Was it the original Superman, or I don't know? There was a movie that did.
Yes, there's a lot of 70s and 80s movies that do that.
I want to say it was the original Superman did that with the. Yeah, they were taking a lot. I mean, took a lot of inspiration from sci-fi for this game.
Definitely, like just Japanese video games in general are very heavily influenced by 80s sci-fi. Like Metroid is super influenced by Alien. Like that was a huge influence on Metroid.
Yep, that's why. I mean, Ridley was named after Ridley Scott, the director of Alien.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
And like the whole concept and everything.
And she's female, and yeah, it's like there's so many things. I didn't catch any of that when I was a kid, but later in life, I made the connections.
Yeah, I knew about Metroid way before I knew about Alien.
Come to think of it, yeah, I probably did too. I wasn't allowed to watch Alien as a kid, so I didn't watch it till I was an adult. So my parents wouldn't let me watch R-rated movies when I was young. So poor me.
Maybe you're a more well-rounded grown-up for it. Who knows?
Maybe, or I just watched lots of R-rated movies now.
Because I watched some R-rated movies as a kid, and I kind of developed some paranoia where I was afraid someone was going to come murder me whenever my parents left the house. I was like, don't go.
Yeah.
Someone's going to come and murder me. So, I don't know. Maybe it was for the better.
Yeah. Well, there we have it, man. Star Fox, no damage run. Thanks everyone for watching.
I kind of wish there was like a little bit of like you unlocked something or got a cool, like, you know what I mean, for getting the 100%.
Well, here's a little
no damage.
Here's a little hint for you. If you sit here at this ending screen for a good 20 minutes, maybe it starts playing a little song for you, just randomly. I left it on one day and it started playing, and it freaked me the hell out. I was like, what is going on? And so there's your... I don't know if you have to have 100%, but it plays if you sit there long enough. So I guess that's your reward.
Nice.
So anyway, cool. Thanks everyone for watching, listening. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been super fun.
Yeah. Take it easy. SHMUP Master and MarkMSX signing off. Later.
Adios.